Welcome back to Leggari Products, everyone. I'm Tyler, and in this video, Landon's gonna show you how to take a boring piece of wood and transform it into a functional piece of art, just like this, using single items off our online store. Enjoy the video. All right, guys, so primer's dry. It's still tacky. We just don't want it wet. So we're gonna tape off our edges. I'm gonna show Landon how to tape the edges for the Leggari stone kit, basically using the dirty pour technique. So very, very simple. We're gonna be using yellow painter's tape. That works the best. Now, when you're doing smaller boards like this and not thick countertop edges, you wanna push that tape underneath the bottom, right? That's gonna seal it up. That way it doesn't bleed. If you just tape on the face, it's not gonna stick well. It's gonna wind up bleeding because we only have a small amount to tape onto. So once we're done taping the face, we're gonna push that under and seal that up. That way we don't get any bleed until we're actually ready to pull that tape. And this primer's been sitting here about 45 minutes. We put some air on it. It dried out really quick. This is the Fast Cure primer. Very, very amazing product and an absolute amazing adhesion promoter for sticking to smooth surfaces. So taping, very, very simple. So Landon, what we're gonna do is we're gonna tape about halfway on the edge, and then we want about half sticking up. And then I'll pull it out, run it down, pull some more out, get it where I want it, seal it up. And then once we're done with that, you wanna push that under the bottom to seal it up. And guys, when you're doing this, you wanna make sure once you're done, press that tape down, get a good seal, and don't worry about the tape pulling off the primer. This primer is gonna wind up setting up underneath that tape, and we don't ever have issues with the primer pulling off with the tape. Now, if you're using like a paint and primer, right, that stuff's gonna pull off. You're gonna have to let that stuff sit up for probably a few hours, maybe a day. So that's a huge benefit of our primers, is you can do stuff real fast with it. All right, so have at it. All right, guys, so Landon's got that first row done, and then we always like to do 2 rows of the tape. So I'm gonna have him run the tape around it again, and then once he gets that second row of tape, we're gonna press this down really good, all the faces underneath. And when you're doing that second row, you wanna try to get it the same height, right? You don't want it really high or really low. You wanna try to keep that the same height. So he'll run that next row. I'll start pushing it down as he goes. All right, guys, so the board's taped. It's basically ready to go. All we got to do is mix up our products now, and I'll show you what products we're going to use. You guys can get this stuff right off our store, single items spot on our website for doing smaller projects like this, art pieces, stuff like that. Last thing you want to do after taping is take your corners, and we just want to crease these in. Almost just pinch it a little. That's going to add a little tension to the tape. We just like to do that. So we go around all our corners, put our finger in the middle, and just pinch it. Tighten that tape up just a little bit, and then I'll go grab the products and kind of go over what we're going to be using. All right, so before we start coating, mixing stuff up, I want to go over the products we're going to use. You can get all of our single items on our store under single items, leggari.com. Click single items and you can find all these there. We got a 1.5 gallon kit of our metallic epoxy. This comes in clear, then you add the metallics to it. We have our metallics right here. You're gonna get bags like this, and then they'll be labeled inside the bags what color. We're gonna be using titanium and silver metallics. That's gonna go into our metallic epoxy. So we got the 1.5 gallon here. Then we have our countertop primer. This will cover 50 square feet. Obviously you're gonna have extra if you're coating smaller projects. You can do multiple projects like that. This was black, and that's how we got the board black. That's what we use for the primer. Then we have our Leggari effects, very, very cool effects, proprietary, never before seen on the market. If you haven't tried these, check them out. We got silver, and we're gonna be using black on this board. And then obviously the spray paint we don't have on our store, but you can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, and this is Seaside. High gloss Seaside spray paint, very, very cool. Landon, what do you think these effects are gonna do to your board?
Well, from what I've seen, it's basically liquid magic.
Liquid magic. There you have it, guys. If you haven't tried these, make sure you get them. They're very, very cool. Single component. We don't have to mix them. We simply dump them out, and you guys will see how we use those. So this is basically what we're gonna use on this board. So again, guys, if you wanna recreate this board, 1.5 gallon metallic epoxy, get the countertop primer, get your Leggari effects, silver black, and then we're using titanium and silver metallics, and then the Seaside high gloss spray paint. And then we'll show you how we're gonna incorporate all those colors on this board. All right, guys, so we're basically ready to pour. I'm gonna show you how to map a design out on your board, right? We can just kind of etch in the pattern that we want, so we're not kind of freehanding it. You can freehand it, you can just dump stuff out. It's gonna look beautiful anyways, but if you want a certain design or look, just take a tongue depressor, take a paint stick, anything really, marker, whatever, and you can really kind of map a design out that you can follow, okay? Simple as that. So I'm gonna let Landon figure out what he wants to do here, map out your design, and then when you're pouring those beads out, you're just gonna follow your lines. So get them all over the board, your pattern that you wanna see. He's going more with those soft S curves. I went more of that jagged pattern. Now, cool to incorporate both of those. Maybe you have some jagged patterns and you have some soft curves in it. Sky's the limit with this stuff. So very, very cool. There we go. Yeah, just keep going. And this just basically gives you a guide to follow as you're pouring stuff out. Maybe get something over here. You don't have to just map out every vein, but this gives us a starting point, and then we can just fill in as we go. Cool, you like it?
Yeah.
All right, guys, so what we did, we took that metallic epoxy 1.5 gallons. We needed 9 ounces per square foot on this technique. So we made about 112 ounces. This is roughly 12.5 square feet. So we have our titanium, and we have our silver already mixed up. So what I did was I took the clear, I made the whole amount that I needed, mixed that up clear, dumped it into 2 separate containers, added the 2 different metallic colors we're using, blended those in, and now we're ready to go. Now keep in mind, you don't want the resin sitting in a bucket longer than it has to. Once that's mixed up with the hardener, you want to get that stuff out quick. A little Leggari tip for you is cool down your resin if you're doing larger projects with our stone kits or the dirty pour technique. You can put that resin in cold water. That's gonna cool it down. That's gonna give you more working time. It'll give you more time in the bucket. But again, guys, try to get this out of the bucket as fast as you can. So this process, very simple. And since this is, you know, Landon's never done any of this, I'm just gonna kind of walk him through it, and then he's gonna take over. So open up the Leggari effects. When you guys get to your effects, make sure you shake them up before you use them. And what we'll do, Landon, is let's just start pouring a couple of these in, and some of these just kind of randomly. Maybe get a little in there. This is the fun part, guys. You can kind of just be totally random. And then we took our spray paint, sprayed it into a cup, put a rag over that so it's not shooting out. And now we're gonna dump a little bit, and this stuff comes out pretty quick, Landon. So get a little bit in each one of these. Maybe like 3 of them, do 3 of them. Maybe this one that doesn't have any effects. And then what we're gonna do now, we're gonna take our titanium and silver, and we're gonna start dumping these in randomly. Now the more random pours that you do, so you can take that one. So dump that one in here. So what I'm gonna do, so that's the silver. I'm gonna dump the titanium in this one first. And then you're gonna dump a little bit of that in each one. Yep, just kind of randomly. The more random you are, the better. And while he's doing that, I'm just gonna take a little black and kind of just give a little skosh to each of these of the Leggari effects. There's a little more black in there. Then we can add a tad bit more of the spray paint. So just keep dumping them in randomly. Grab it, dump some of that, dump some of the other one. And then once you get it decent amount out of both, you can start dumping them in together, right? So dump some of that out. Yeah, this is gonna look amazing. Now we're gonna add some more silver. And we're not worried about dripping on our board. This has already been mixed up with hardener, ready to go, so it's all gonna get hard. What do you think of the colors so far?
It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, really cool. Really, really cool. So again, guys, move quick, make sure everything's ready, so when you guys add that hardener, you're ready to go. And remember, setting those buckets of epoxy in cold water to cool that down really helps out a lot, especially on the stone kits and these dirty pour techniques that we're doing right here. Looks like we might need another cup, huh? We could always use old Blue Faithful here. Might as well start filling that one up. Do that, and then we won't add any effects in that one. Now, these are our cups, and again, guys, we want to get these out of the cups as soon as we can. So we'll get all these off the table. Now, Landon, when you're pouring out, you always want to take notice of what color's coming out. So say you got a bunch of blue here coming out of your cup, but you don't have any blue over there, you might want to stop, move to that side, add a little blue, and this is what it looks like. I always like to do smaller beads, and I'm just gonna follow one of these lines, right? Just like that. Try not to pour a big pile next to the tape, and all you're gonna do is just keep following lines, and then once you get all the lines filled in, then you go in between all the lines, keep grabbing different cups, right? Because like, look, this one has a lot of blue. If I start here, we're probably gonna get a lot of blue coming out. So just take note, look how beautiful that is. Wow, awesome. So there you go, man. Just start grabbing random cups, going all over the board, and do your thing. So see how you're getting blue coming out, right? You got blue next to each other, which is fine, but you just want to kind of throw those blues all around the board so one section doesn't have as much blue, too much blue, you know?
Yeah.
So now, see how it's gonna spread out and touch. So you want to go, just start filling in everything, right? You don't want to pour a big fat bead next to it, right? You want to stay away. But again, you got plenty of products, so just do your thing, man. All right, guys, so we want to get a little black out there. We're also going to show you how to do some cool fracture veins after we're done, but what I'm going to do is just take the black Leggari Effects, and I'm just going to dump some in here, and then now he's going to pour that out, and he should get some black to pop off. While he's doing that, I'm just gonna run some black right on the board here. Just following a few of these veins. Just like so. That's why we send these out with the squeeze tips, so there's so many different applications with these effects. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with the silver. And when he adds product to those spots, it's gonna come up to the surface. It's gonna push those Leggari Effects up to the surface. So when you guys get to this point, smaller sections, you wanna try to be more precise when you're pouring out to try to fill in, because we don't wanna have to move this around at all. It looks really awesome without moving it. So if you get too much color somewhere, or maybe it's spread out too far, we can just run this paint stick through this and just tone that thing down. Now notice I'm kind of following the pattern that we have out here. And it just creates really natural looking effects. That's what's nice about these Leggari Effects, is they're so easy to maneuver and kind of change if you didn't like something that you added out. The Leggari Effects in gold and silver, they'll start to crust over faster than all our other colors, which creates really cool effects. But you just want to keep that in mind. If you're trying to blend it in as a liquid, you want to blend that in right when you kind of dump it out. If you're going for almost like a gold leaf or a crusted over effect, you would let it sit on there like we did here. And then when I move this, it just creates really cool, almost like a gold leaf, but it's obviously with silver. So I'm just going around blending some of these in. So guys, when you get down to kind of the bottom, you'll get more of this really cool like layered effects, right? Where you got all these kind of like fracture veins, different colors, when you have smaller amounts in the cup. So we're gonna we'll add a little silver in here. And then a little black. That black. Then we'll take a tongue depressor, paint stick, whatever, and we'll just kind of blend that in ever so slightly. And then I'm gonna pour a really cool fracture vein here. We'll kind of run it maybe right here. We'll do it right here. So pinch the cup so we get a nice tight bead coming out. And just kind of follow it. You can kind of see the black, the silver in there, right? So maybe we could run one through here. Just kind of following the pattern that we have already out here. It's all right, we can blend that with our hand. Yep, just run it. Oh, that's a good one. So guys, we just squirted black in the top. It's kind of hard when the cups are full to pour out a nice even bead. So what we'll do is we can just run our hands through this to help even that out so it doesn't look like kind of start and stop points. Just kind of break that up a little bit. All right, guys, so happy with the board. So what we're gonna do now is, and I didn't go over that, we are gonna be using liquid diamonds. And again, guys, you can get that off our website under single items. We're gonna mix that liquid diamonds into the isopropyl alcohol, and we're gonna spritz it to get a lot of sparkle out there. So it'll give the effect of glitter. But what's cool about the liquid diamonds is it doesn't look like pepper or whatever from different angles. So if you use like typical glitter from different angles, it'll just look like black specks, almost like pepper. This doesn't do that. So very, very cool. So we'll get that mixed up and show you that. And then before we do that, I'm gonna show you how to do fracture veins, really tight fracture veins with the Leggari effects. So doing real tight, skinny fracture veins. Tongue depressor. We're gonna just dump it up the top. What that's gonna do is it's gonna let it just kind of slowly move down and keep adding color onto the board. And what we're gonna do is follow a shape out here. So we're just gonna follow one of these designs, just like that. And that's gonna give us some really nice and tight, skinny fracture veins. Run one right next to the black here. So that's it, Landon. Clean it off, pour some out, and then just follow a pattern that you have out there. So guys, you'll notice how he kind of ran out there, put more on the paint stick, started there, and kept going. Now he has that nice fracture vein all the way around there. And look how cool that is. Now since we're gonna spray it with isopropyl, it's gonna break some of these up. If you want more solid fracture veins, you would do that after you spray the isopropyl. All right, guys, so liquid diamonds mixed with isopropyl We typically start with like 3 teaspoons of metallics to about 15 ounces of isopropyl alcohol, and you can kind of go from there, right? If you want it to be more potent, maybe add a little more. Just keep in mind the liquid diamonds are bigger metallic flakes, so if you get too much in there, they will clog it, but you do want to shake it up, right? And we're looking to get small to medium drops, just like this, all over the board. And I'm gonna let Landon do that, so barely pull the trigger, and then I'll get some close-ups for you guys as he's doing that. So a lot of these cells it's creating will go away in the actual metallics, but everywhere there's the Leggari effects, all those cells are gonna stay. So you can see all the sparkle that it adds to it, just non-stop. Very, very cool. So there you have it, guys. Beautiful board. Now again, a lot of these cells and just the metallics will kind of tone down, but as far as any cells created in the Leggari effects, right, those are gonna stay. So very, very cool. And we can still mess with it if we want. Like right here, we got a thick vein. We can blend that in with the tongue depressor, so it's not so wide right there. Just gonna blend that in a little bit. Same thing on this outside edge, just like that. So very, very cool. All right, guys, so what we like to do with our resins, because again, we don't torch our products, right? We have an amazing formula that allows bubbles to release, self-pop, just absolutely awesome. But we do like to mist the surface with denatured alcohol once we're all done. So once we do the isopropyl, let that evaporate 10 minutes, and then we come through just denatured alcohol, and we want a fine mist everywhere. Make sure you got that fine mist spraying, and you're just gonna mist it just like this. So just mist the whole thing. That's gonna help level out, even out, let the resin really level out and get that glass smooth finish. Get up top there. Yep. And this won't affect your cells, your craters, nothing like that. Just misting it like that. And then this will make it just lay out, like I said, like a glass smooth finish. So again, guys, small stuff, right? Small edges. Tape's never gonna hold the resin on, and that's why we tape underneath. We have a few bleed marks, but if we didn't tape underneath, all this resin would have been flowed off. And the reason we tape it is because we wanna keep this design on the top. If we didn't have tape, all this stuff would kind of level off and flow over the board, and it would mess up the design. So we're gonna let this set up for about probably 40 minutes because it is kind of hot in here. And then we'll pull the tape, let the stuff flow over nice and evenly. Edges will be coated, and we'll keep this exact design on the top. All right, guys, so it's been about 45 minutes. Again, it's hot in here, so we don't have to let this sit as long. It can be anywhere from 45 minutes up to 2 hours, depending on the temperature or how long it takes you to coat your board when it's time to pull the tape. The easiest way is to just tilt the tape back. If the resin's really flowing down that tape as you tilt it back, it's probably too soon, right? So let it set up a little more. We want it to get it to where that resin's just kind of slowly moving down the tape if you tilt it back. And obviously if you have thicker edges, you might want to pull it a little bit sooner. And again, it's better to pull it a little sooner than too late to where you have to brush that on and really get it to flow over. But again, this is just a small edge. It's basically going to be coated once we pull that tape. But real simple, Landon. So you're going to pull this, tear it, and then you're just going to go around, fold that tape in as you're going around. And then while he's doing that, I'm just going to go around, get some that's ran off, and just brush this edge in so everything's got a good coat. All right, guys, so I've just gone around, got some of the resin that's flowed off on my hands, and I'm just brushing that on, Landon. So if you see any spots, see how it's kind of thin in some of these edges, just grab some of that material, brush it on, and just let it drip off. So that's pretty much it. Once we're finished with these edges, what we'll do is we'll just scrape the bottom drips off. Right when it starts to set up, we'll take a thin putty knife and almost just scrape those off. That's the best way to do it when it starts to set up. And then obviously if you don't get your drips, we can sand those the next day. But we are gonna do, I think, a matte top coat on this, right? You wanna do matte? We can do grit in it?
Yeah.
So we're gonna do matte with grit, so this thing's just absolutely bulletproof.